Welcome back, travelers. I'm Alex. Together with my loyal friend Argo and our wise companion Glaux, we'll journey through the legendary world of ancient Greece. Today, we continue our epic adventure with the Odyssey, Book 1, Episode 2. Come with us.
Athena fastened her shining golden sandals to her feet. With them, she could fly as swiftly as the wind across both land and sea. She picked up her great bronze spear. Then, in a flash, she leaped down from the snowy peaks of Mount Olympus. She soared across the bright blue sky. She passed over sparkling seas and green islands until the rugged shores of Ithaca came into view. But Athena knew she must not appear as a goddess, so before she arrived, she changed her appearance. Instead of wearing her shining armor, she became a traveler named Mentes, an old friend of Odysseus and king of the seafaring Taphians. Disguised as Mentes, Athena walked toward the royal palace. As she reached the great gate, she stopped and looked around. What she saw made her heart sink. A crowd of young noblemen had taken over Odysseus's home. They laughed loudly. They played games. They feasted every day on food that did not belong to them. They slaughtered the king's sheep and cattle. They drank his finest wine. They behaved as though they already owned the palace. Servants hurried back and forth carrying bread, roasted meat, and cups of wine. No one dared tell the unwanted guests to leave. These men had come from many nearby islands, hoping to marry Queen Penelope. Since Odysseus had been gone for so many years, they believed he would never return. Athena looked toward the doorway of the palace. Inside lived a lonely young man. His name was Telemachus. He had grown up without knowing his father. Every day he wondered whether Odysseus was still alive. Sometimes he imagined his father walking through the palace doors. The greedy suitors would flee. The servants would rejoice. His family would finally be together again. But each day ended the same way. Odysseus never came. The next morning, the palace was as busy as ever. Servants prepared another feast, while the suitors laughed and argued among themselves. Only Telemachus seemed unhappy. As he sat quietly, he noticed someone standing outside the palace gate. It was a traveler holding a bronze spear. Unlike the rude suitors, the stranger waited patiently instead of forcing his way inside. Telemachus immediately stood up. "It is not right," he thought, "to leave a guest waiting." He hurried across the courtyard with a welcoming smile. "Welcome," he said. "Please come inside. First, share a meal with us. Afterward, you can tell me what has brought you here." The traveler accepted the invitation. Together, they entered the great hall. Telemachus carefully placed the visitor's spear in a tall rack beside many others that had once belonged to Odysseus. They still waited for the day their true owner might return. Then he led his guest to a comfortable chair away from the noisy suitors. He placed a small footstool beneath it and sat nearby so they could talk in peace. A servant brought fresh water for them to wash their hands. Another laid warm bread on the table. Soon roasted meat, fruit, and sweet wine were served. Only after everyone had been welcomed did the meal begin. The suitors wandered into the hall and took their seats without thanking anyone. After they had eaten, they called for music. A servant handed a lyre to Phemius, the palace singer. Phemius did not sing because he wished to. The suitors demanded it. As the music filled the hall, Telemachus leaned closer to his guest. He lowered his voice. "I hope you won't mind if I speak honestly," he said. "Those men are wasting everything my father worked so hard to build. They eat his food. They drink his wine. They care nothing for this family. My father has been gone for many years. Sometimes people tell me he will return, but it has become harder to believe." He paused before asking quietly, "Please tell me who you are. Where do you come from? And did you know my father?" The traveler smiled kindly. "My name is Mentes," he replied. "I am king of the seafaring Taphians. Your father and I were friends before he sailed to Troy. We have not seen each other since. I came here after a long voyage, hoping to find Odysseus safely home. But it seems the gods have delayed him." Telemachus lowered his eyes. Then Mentes continued, "Do not believe your father is dead. I think he is still alive. Perhaps he is trapped on some distant island. Perhaps enemies are keeping him from returning. I cannot see the future. But I know this. Odysseus is too wise. He is too brave. Even if he were locked in chains, I believe he would find a way to escape. For the first time in many years, hope began to grow inside Telemachus's heart.